With a vast game library like Nintendo's, there's pretty much any game for anyone. Fun, family-friendly platformers about plumbers, RPGs about kids trying to stop an alien invasion. They also offer real-time strategy games involving plant creatures helping an astronaut retrieve their ship parts. There's something for everyone, and not all games are created equally. Some games have a grander scope of scale, and thus bigger stakes. Some villains may only be after gold and others universal destruction. This leads to the question of just which villains are the most threatening. Which of Nintendo's gigantic lineup of foes is the weakest and which is the most powerful? Hey guys, I'm Brad with 1UP Binge, and today we're playing these games to get a true understanding of which threats are the easiest to dispatch and which are impossible. Before we start, we're going to have to discuss what we mean by power. First, it will have to be how much of a threat these villains alone represent. No outside weaponry or armies. Any magical spells will also be included. Then we'll take into account what tools of destruction they can invent or have on their person. They won't be considered as much as raw strength or magic, but it'll still play a role. Finally, we'll talk about their army and the forces following their every step. They can be soldiers or Pokemon they have caught. Also, we're only going to be doing a handful of the vast library of Nintendo bad guys and focus on the more famous foes. That said, we are giving Meta Knight and King Dedede a break, as whenever we talked about them in terms of villainy, they were pretty much the most heroic villains. Actually, let's not kid ourselves, they're heroes, and won't be counted from here on out. At the bottom of the list, we have the Nuisances. These are villains that you don't need to worry about. They're either small enough to be ignored or are not that powerful. First is the Plasm Wraith. On paper, the Plasm Wraith is a threatening foe and antagonist. It's a gooey-looking alien parasite that can change its shape and form to attack its foes and enemies. It's capable of harnessing the elements of the Pikmin, can eat them, and can damage the captains if you're not careful. It can also keep Captain Olimar all to itself, or at least till the other captains come in to try and free him. So what knocks it down to the bottom of the list? There's one problem it faces, or rather, a small problem. Itself. The Plasm Wraith is only as big as about 2 Olimars. In case you don't know, Olimar is only about 1.9 centimeters tall. Even with a generous estimate, it's only as big as about 3 inches. It's basically a bug that you can easily squish with your hand. That's a death sentence for a list like this. In Olimar's eyes, it's dangerous. But to us, it's nothing more than a bug. Next, we have Captain Syrup. Already being a step up in size, this pirate queen is a captain of the Black Sugar Gang. Despite being a pirate captain, she prefers to stay behind her army, letting others do the dirty work. If she has to fight, she finds someone else to help her, like a genie she can ride on to attack others or using a robot. She can do some fighting on her own, with her dash attacks and bombs. She definitely prefers to stay in the shadows. We can see how effective she can be in Wario Land Shake It. She tells Wario about the Shake King and helped him get close to him to beat him, only to steal the endless bag of coins underneath his nose. She's more sneaky than powerful, but she can be a threat if you underestimate her. Next is the third least powerful villain, Porky. Porky is interesting. He's a kid who was targeted by Gygus. He essentially became corrupted and turned more villainous. His power mostly comes from him hiding behind other people, be it leading a cult to stop Ness or ruling the town of Forside by being a business consultant for the mayor. Porky is the most annoying of these threats. He works behind the scenes to sabotage Ness's efforts, even stealing the first version of the Phase Distorter. What scored him big points was his actions in the sequel, Mother 3. He controls a giant spider mech bed, uses his power to summon robots to attack Lucas's party, and gets into the fray himself. However, time traveling and ending up in Lucas's time left him as a very old and frail man. The only reason he's still alive is because of this spider mech. Given that, Porky became a paradox, a powerful ruler stuck as a fragile and weak person. With his army and toys of war, he's dangerous, but by himself, not so much. Remember, we're judging these foes by just how powerful they are by themselves, not with the help of any stolen weapons. Next are the legit threats. These are villains with enough power that you start to feel concerned for your safety. They're not global threats yet, but when you're within an immediate area of them, it's best to keep your distance. First is the Team Rocket leader, Giovanni. And just a heads up, this isn't including Rainbow Rocket Giovanni. The straight man behind Jesse, James, and Meowth's antics, Giovanni is more by the book and lurks in the shadows, like Captain Syrup. To the public, he is the gym leader of Viridian. Behind the curtain, he's the leader of the criminal organization. As the leader, he has ears all over the continent. He can form and carry out global operations, leading in the capturing of Pokemon from many trainers. That said, while Giovanni has his own Pokemon team, he is an average adult man. While he uses his Pokemon that makes him a real threat, the Team Rocket leader can be more of a threat by himself. It wouldn't surprise us if he sneaked a weapon into a fight. Look to the stars and Wolf will be there. The leader of Star Wolf, Wolf is the anti-Fox. He was hired by Andros to take down Fox and his squadron, eager to prove that he is the best. His skills in the pilot seat are just as good as Fox's, being something of a copy. Of course, he isn't as good of a pilot as Fox, but he is still a mighty fighter. On foot, he hasn't fought in the main series yet. In Smash Brothers, he has pretty much the same skills as Fox. He's able to run fast and use his gun, even using his claws to do extra damage. And plus, he's still a wolf. That should be enough to stay away from him. But he's definitely not as dangerous as a crocodile, this case being King K. Rool, the commander of the Kremling crew. The seafaring crocodile leads his crew against the Kongs and their island. Their goal focuses on their banana bunch. He would rather let his minions do the work, but when push comes to shove, he can push and shove at once. He can perform amazing leaps and bounds, jumping all over the gangplank galleon. He also attacks with his crown, using it like a boomerang. As time went on, he only got more powers, such as his helicopter jetpack. He can also turn invisible and use his blunderbuss to shoot cannonballs. He's also a pain to deal with in the boxing ring, capable of performing uppercuts and shockwaves. This is one crocodile whose toothy grin you don't want to be taken in by. In the final slot of this category, we have the dealer of mustard of your doom, Fawful. Fawful was originally the assistant of Cackletta, attacking the Mario Brothers with his laser gun, headgear, and rolling attacks. But deep down, Fawful always felt like he was made for bigger and better things. Holding up the Mario Brothers one last time before the final boss, he pulls out all the stops, showing off his first invention he created. He can survive any attack from the bros, only being cracked open from overheating. After his defeat, he went into hiding, finalizing his construction on his plan of eventual conquest for the Mushroom Kingdom. Creating his army of robots, he would eventually trick Bowser into eating a mushroom that would inhale the Mario Brothers. This gave him free reign to take over the land, hypnotizing Bowser's subjects into serving him. He drains energy from the Dark Star and becomes Dark Fawful, and he got stronger. Not as powerful as the actual Dark Star, but still a genuine threat. He has fury as well as power. Next are the Global Terrors. Basically, they're threats to the entire world. They can be just powerful foes that are able to hold their own, or they have big and dangerous goals with the means to achieve them. First is the Pokemon Eternatus. With the land of Galar being on the verge of an energy crisis, Chairman Rose vowed to find a way to create a long-lasting power source. Using the same powers that allow Pokemon to enter their Dynamax state, Rose wakes Eternatus to kickstart the darkest day of Galar. Desperately trying to replenish the lost energy, Eternatus feeds off of the power of the energy in Galar. This is the energy that allows Pokemon to become gigantic. This Pokemon is the largest in terms of height, easily outclassing Groudon. He's also just as powerful, being able to damage Pokemon with his Eternabeam attack. He was only stopped thanks to the combined efforts of the player character, Hop, and the two Pokemon that sealed it away in the first place, Zacian and Zamazenta. Despite all his power, he's still a Pokemon and subject to the same rules. He can be trapped in Pokeballs and forced to obey trainers. He barely enters his spot, despite being a credible threat. Next is Marsh. His main role is in Milky Way wishes. He warns Kirby of a way to stop the sun and moon from fighting. Telling Kirby above the wish-granting comet Nova, Kirby makes his way around the galaxy to get all the parts required to summon him. However, Marks butts in at the last second and wishes to take over Popstar. With his newfound power, he was able to become a winged demon and force seeds to grow up from the ground. He can summon black holes and shoot laser beams from his mouth. He can launch a barrage of arrows and, of course, fly around and launch his body at foes. This bouncing jester is truly no joke. In the deep reaches of space, Andros lays in wait. Once an ordinary scientist, he was exiled from Corneria for his experiments getting too dangerous. On his new planet, Venom, he crafted and created his own army with his scientific mind and vast powers of the supernatural. He was able to blindside the Lilat system with his army. He forced them to call Star Fox to level the field in their favor. Even when faced against Fox, Andros has plenty of tricks up his sleeves, or I guess, teeth. He tried to bite him out of the sky, use his hands to smack his ship, and inhale debris to spit at Fox. Also, he has a robot duplicate of himself to trick others, and possesses his own second phase, involving Andros literally attacking with his brain and eyes. He even has plans to resurrect himself when he dies. He makes use of his brains to create brawn and a way longer lifespan. For our second Pokemon villain, we have Necrozma. Once a spreader of light and energy, he was captured by the residents of Ultra Megalopolis and forced to be a power source for them. Obviously, this didn't sit right with him. He then decided to drain the light from all over the world that it once gave out. It even killed the guardian deities of the Pokemon universe, even if it got repealed by Solgaleo and Lunala. However, it can get more powerful by merging with Nebby by force and transforming into an even more powerful form. However, it has one last form. After triggering its Ultra Burst, it can turn into its true form, Ultra Necrozma. He becomes even more dangerous and more capable of sucking up all the light in the universe. It can travel past time and space and drain the universe of all its light. Necrozma is a threat that only the most talented Pokemon masters seek out. Next is Nightmare. Sealing himself into the Dream Fountain, he proceeds to stop the spread of dreams. It's awful considering how the place is called Dreamland. With everyone succumbing to nightmares, he would have been able to spread his rule all over Dreamland. However, King Dedede realized what was going on and broke the Star Rod to trap him in the fountain, spreading the pieces across the land. Kirby, however, found out that the Star Rod was broken and set out to restore it, accidentally freeing Nightmare, who escaped in his Power Orb form. Thankfully, Kirby was able to use the Star Rod to defeat not only Nightmare's Power Orb form, but also Nightmare. As one of the earlier foes of Kirby, he's not as menacing as other threats, but he's still one nightmare of a foe, literally. Next is the Master of Mischief, King Boo. This specter of haunted mansions has one goal: put the Mario brothers into paintings. Tricking Luigi and Mario into believing that Luigi won a haunted mansion, he creates said haunted mansion with the power of the Boos. He captures Mario and traps him in a painting, and then he sends his army of Boo minions to attack Luigi. By himself, King Boo is a tricky specter. Having his own costume of Bowser, he's able to breathe fire and slam spike balls Luigi's way. He uses his long tongue to attack and swipe at Luigi. He uses his own body to squish foes, duplicate himself, and bring forth lightning. Overall, there's gonna be no sweet dreams fighting this ghost. It's time to go face to face with Majora. This mythical mask of the land of Termina was once a fancy mask that the traveling Happy Mask salesman held onto, not wanting it out of his sight. After a prank pulled by the Skull Kid, the Lost Kid wore the mask, which quickly put him to work as a puppet. With Majora's powers, he started a path of destruction by having the moon crash land into Termina in 3 days. He spreads his misfortune and power towards the 4 corners of the land. He turned them into desolate, deadly, and hazardous locations. With their powers, they were able to destroy the Great Fairies and lock away the 4 giants, being powerful enough to stop the moon from falling. Even after its scheme is stopped, Majora refuses to give up. He went into the moon and challenged Link to one last duel, revealing more of its form and attacking Link with all of his might. However, he failed, defeated by young Link. That's the biggest drawback to Majora. To be defeated by a kid shows how bad he is defensively. That said, Majora is definitely someone that you don't want to come across. Next is the anti-Mario, Wario. Wario's adventures are focused on making his next quick buck. However, he isn't afraid to get his muscles dirty, and he can do some incredible things. He can go toe-to-toe against Captain Serb's pirate fleet, genies, evil gods in the shape of jewels, and ancient demons. To do something like that, Wario must have some secret power, right? Wrong. Wario is just that strong. He's so strong that apparently he can die only when he feels like it. Or at least that is what Wario boasts. He can punch the ground hard enough to shake everything on the screen. He caused a giant explosion from the Shake King by beating him too hard. Wario's not to be overlooked, even if he has no magic abilities. The last in this category, we have Mother Brain. The original plan for Mother Brain by the Chozo was to have her be a supercomputer that can help the universe. However, after outliving her child, she went rogue and took control of the space pirates and led them on the warpath of Zebus. As the brain of the operations, she can control the space pirates and Metroids, blocking and impeding Samus at every step. Even when Samus reaches her, she can only beat her by shooting her in the open eye. Apparently, eyelids are the newest craze in shield defenses. After being destroyed by Samus, she got herself a robotic body and laser beam. She almost got Samus on the edge of death, had it not been for a Metroid saving her and sacrificing itself to give Samus a new powerful weapon. This is one bad and dangerous mother of a boss that you don't want to cross. Finally, we have the near Indestructible. These are fiends that manage to either keep bouncing back in one way or another, or are just powerful enough to be considered godly. Hell, they may be gods. First, we have a basic definition of a god, a literal goddess in the form of Medusa. Once ruling alongside her sister Palutena, she was cast out because she punished mortals due to how ungrateful she thought they were. Ruling the underworld, she sends her forces to battle against Angel Land as well as the Earth. Attacking Pit while he's airbound, she can send projectiles of energy and eyeballs his way, litter the sky with mines and eye beams. If she takes enough damage, she can take off her head and have her head teleport around the area to shoot lasers and poisonous skulls at Pit. After all these, she can defend Pit from Hades' most powerful attack, even if she lost an arm at first, before the rest of her body. Next is Hades. He can destroy Medusa with little effort after she revolts against him. That alone should be a red flag. We see how powerful he can be after pulling back the curtains and revealing that he revived Medusa. He needed her as a distraction as he did his own planning. He can bring anyone back from the dead or kill anyone by absorbing their soul. Being able to blast apart the 3 sacred treasures, he's already a dangerous threat to the world. He kicks it up a notch with his Devastation Ensemble, perfect for weddings and Armageddon. This flashy, tacky outfit is fitted with lasers and missiles, ready to shoot at Pit. The only way he can be beaten was after destroying his heart. We see this when Palutena powers up the great sacred treasure cannon and shoots through Hades. A god that needs multiple gods and divine beings working together to kill him is worthy of being this high. The cunning god of death, Ridley, is next. Ridley is Samus's most resilient foe. Leading a squad of pirates across the cosmos, destroying planets, Ridley always finds his way blocked off by the equally powerful Samus. We all know why Ridley is this high. He can't die. He has plenty of backup forms that keep him at his top game and attack Samus, from a robotic form built by the space pirates or powered up by the Phazon energy. He can pick himself up, dust himself off, and get back into the fray. Save for his actual canonical death by Samus in Super Metroid, his body breaking apart, continuity is weird in the Metroid series. That said, don't be surprised if his death is retconned. Kneel down for the King of Evil, Ganondorf. A recurring curse sent to haunt Zelda and Link for the rest of their days, Demise sent him out in his dying breath, cursing them to be attacked by Ganon for the rest of their ancestors' lives. Alongside his political power as the king of the Gerudo tribe, he's also proficient in sword fighting. He can stand toe-to-toe with Link, as well as dark magic and curses. Guess it takes a curse to know how to make curses. Not to mention he has his Triforce of Power, which turns him from a mortal into a god. His power then becomes unbeatable, only rivaled by the Master Sword and Triforce of Wisdom and Courage, held by Zelda and Link respectively. He can even make himself invincible. If he's angry and desperate, he can forsake his humanity in exchange for more power. He becomes Calamity Ganon, being able to ravage Hyrule, turn the Sheikah's technology against them, kill all their heroes, and send out his minions. You can kill him if you know what to do, but he always comes back, just like Demise promises. Next is Dimentio. Assuming the role of villain in the background, Dimentio was hinted to be one of the original writers for the Dark Prognosticus, and his scheming lines up, being able to play both Count Bleck's team and Mario's team in his favor. He's powerful enough to kill Mario, Peach, and Bowser with the snap of his fingers. That's just the tip of the iceberg. By himself, Dimentio can use his magic to disorient and trip foes from 2D to 3D on a whim. He can also shoot magic shurikens and create small boxes filled with explosives. However, he's at his most powerful taking control of the Chaos Heart and forcing Luigi to join him, becoming Mr. L, as he and Dimentio are sucked into the Chaos Heart. This event created Super Dimentio, a foe that is invincible until counteracted by the Pure Hearts. Seems like Jesters are some of the most powerful villains in Nintendo. First Marks and now Dimentio. Next is Bowser. Compared to other threats like Ridley, Ganondorf, and any Kirby villain, Bowser really doesn't seem that bad. He's a giant, fire-breathing turtle and dragon hybrid that attacks the Mushroom Kingdom just to kidnap Peach, who keeps being beaten by a plumber that is just as strong as him. So where is the powerful side of Bowser if he keeps getting bested by Mario? Well, they're both extremely strong. Bowser at his best is in Bowser's Inside Story. Mario and Luigi help with some of these feats, but what they're doing is stimulating Bowser's muscles in a way that powers them up. These strengths are all of Bowser's own feats. Bowser by himself can burn down trees with his breath, stop a train if there are no rocks to trip him up, and can pull an entire size island to shore. Even when he's crushed, he can get revived and boosted with an increase in size, being able to look just at home in a Godzilla film, with the power of one to boot. He can even survive being sucked into a black hole and pull himself out of it. The Koopa King can also defeat the Dark Star. It's a beast that can destroy the entire Mushroom Kingdom, even when said being has been powered up on Bowser's own power. In Super Mario Galaxy 2, this turtle was powerful enough to pose a legitimate risk to Rosalina and her observatory. Keep in mind, Rosalina is essentially a goddess, and Bowser was able to become a threat to her safety. Not bad for a guy who's commonly beaten by a plumber. Not to mention, Bowser has his reality warping forms thanks to the Dream Star that can create a new galaxy in Super Mario Galaxy. In his Fury Bowser form, he becomes even more powerful, forcing Mario to don the Gigabell outfit to get on the same level as him. Overall, with his vast strength, many forms to give him powers, and his impressive foray in Bowser's Inside Story, Bowser definitely has strong-armed his way this high up. Next is Taboo, the mastermind behind all the events in Subspace Emissary. Taboo is literally pulling the strings behind Master Hand, using him as his puppet. After Master Hand is free, his next act was to use his off-waves attack, turning everyone he's brought to subspace into trophies, rendering them lifeless. Spoiler alert, this isn't the last time you'll be seeing something like this. He probably would have been able to get away with this had it not been for Dedede thinking ahead and creating brooches in advance, which restores a fighter from their trophy form to their real form. Taboo was a stone's throw away from victory and would have been able to just turn everyone back into trophies. Luckily, there's a sneak attack from Sonic, downgrading his off-waves attack to a one-hit killing them. Yeah, it's a downgrade, trust us. However, this isn't the only story mode for the Smash series. Next is Galeem and Darkon. By looking at Galeem, we can see how dangerous they are at the beginning of World of Light, with them being able to eradicate the entire Super Smash Bros. Cast, save for Kirby, who was able to leave by his Warp Star. Let's just repeat that. If Kirby didn't have his Warp Star, they would have been able to put the entirety of the Super Smash Bros. Cast under their thumb, or giant circle orb. Their wings? You got the picture. And Darkon is just as dangerous, being the eternal enemy of Galeem, trying to bathe the entire world in darkness. Their power can be best shown at the end of the game, where you get the choice to either fight one of them or both. If you try to kill one of them, the other will always take advantage and continue with their goals. If Galeem is killed, Darkon plunges the world into death and darkness. If Darkon is killed, Galeem destroys the entire galaxy, shining a bright light over the universe. It's when they're too focused on killing one another that you can win, and even Taboo is one of the souls that get trapped as a spirit by them. That alone should be proof of why they should be this high. However, there's one spirit that they didn't get. Finally, there's only one being so vicious, powerful, and ruthless to earn this spot at the top of the food chain. Someone that the player can't even win against. That's right, you know who we're talking about, Tom Nook. He looks sweet and innocent, but he has the power to put you in perpetual debt. He's always steps ahead of everyone when it comes to his endless business strategies. Tom Nook is one of the most powerful villains because he can inflict all the corners of the earth with debt. You can't run, and you can't hide from him. You just dig yourself deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Seriously though, for the true #1 pick, you cannot grasp the true form of Gygus and his power. An alien who specialized in PSI energy, he was raised by human parents before getting the order to kill his human father for stealing the research of PSI the aliens were keeping. When confronted by Ninten and his friends, they're incapable of beating him through traditional means. They were only able to win by singing Maria's Lullaby, a song that she used to sing to him at bedtime. They also brought up past memories of her, getting him to call off the invasion and leave. However, he only got more powerful, transforming into the unexplainable form he is now. After breaking free of his devil machine, he's only gotten durable with age. There's only one thing that can harm him significantly: praying with Paula. However, with everyone on Earth praying for victory, only one person can defeat him, and it's you. By praying for the safety of Ness and their friends, or by mindlessly pressing the A button if you really don't care that much. Either way works. A foe this damaging, durable, and only capable of being stopped by you and your prayers or A presses. That sounds like the most powerful Nintendo villain to us. And with that, this boss rush is done. Did we put anyone here in a spot you disagreed with? Is Tom Nook truly the most powerful face in the Nintendo pantheon of baddies? Let us know in the comments below, and why not leave a like as well? Tell us what we should cover next. And if you need a one-up, hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters in your favorite games. Thanks for watching.